Daniel Swartz here from Wisconsin. This is one of my favorite spots right now in the woods. There's this kind of a natural little glen or glade here made by these hawthorn trees, or thorn apple as I grew up calling them. The hawthorn tree is actually in the rose family. It makes a big rose hip that looks like a mini apple. Don't taste like one. And people call them thorn apples because they have some wicked thorns. Check this out. Yeah, them things will go through your boots if you hit it right. I used to hate them as a kid because I was always picking the thorns out of my feet and out of my skin, and clearing brush, you're always getting them in your fingers. But growing older, I'm learning more about them. They are great for river bottom. The way that they root pretty deep, and then the roots really spread, and they hold a lot of soil in place. They make a great crown so other herbs and stuff can grow underneath, and wildflowers. And like these, what you're seeing here is actually a very, very old tree. What happened is the single stalk that was here, the original tree, rotted years ago, and then it had this cluster of little seedlings sprout out from the stump and start its own little trees. And now the little seedlings are old and they're hollow and they're rotting. So it's pretty cool. It's the same thing. This will happen to most hawthorn trees if they're not pruned or taken care of. But just check it out. There's hollow spots everywhere. See there? And you come over here, you got one there, you got one up in here. So these trees are really, really good for the natural wildlife. They host a whole lot of bug species, which are good for your songbirds and all the birds that love to eat bugs, because you got to have bugs if you want healthy birds. You got to have something for them to eat. Then their flowers come out pretty early in the spring, which is good for all the pollinator species, your bumblebees, bees, wasps, hornets, and all things like that, and your hummingbirds. There's also other songbirds. It's really good for your songbirds. For one thing, you have a very, very dense thicket of a canopy, your branches and stuff, and it's full of thorns. So tiny little songbirds and your squirrels, stuff like that, can crawl around up in there and not have to worry near so much about a hawk come swooping in and take them off the branch, because a hawk doesn't want to swoop into them thorns. So it's really cool. Also, the deer love them. Deer will eat the apples. It's a good food source. It's basically more like rose hips, so they're packed with antioxidants and other good. It's a good nutrient source for critters. The squirrels eat the seeds, they eat the apples and the seeds too. And then it's just good cover for the deer. The deer love to lay in around under the bottom. So I love these. I don't know what you'd call it. You know what? These are second growth off of a single tree, and they grew up, and those are getting old. Now this one here is pretty cool because it's got the third growth coming. It's just spreading and spreading. You can see really, really good here. The ring, that is where the old tree used to be. And when it died, all the little suckers grew up from the stump, and that rotted, and it fed these. And now the second growth here, the second succession, is old and rotting, and you have new young stuff. This here stem here is probably 15-20 years old actually, but it's quite a different look. It's more healthy. The thorns, it's got more thorns, which shows you how young it is. So this is third generation. So this is what happens. You can see when I step back how spread out this is. It's really cool. I'm curious what will happen if I don't prune it. You know, I might come in here and, like, this branch here is dead, and prune stuff like that off of it. I did prune some of the lower drooping branches because I like to walk around down in here. And if you get livestock under these trees, they do a good job of packing everything, and they'll pack down the thorns. These thorns will rot, and then a lot less likely to get a thorn in your foot. So I opened it up a little bit. It was a little bit shaded in here because I'm hoping to make like a grassy glen underneath. I want enough sun under here to grow grass under these things. I had that in one spot on the old place, and it was pretty cool. You have the big thorn apple tree in the middle. I had like 2 or 3 of them, which I'd stake my horse to eat the grass in the little meadow, glen, whatever you want to call it, around it. So over here, I've got a younger first succession. It just started to grow some suckers out of the base. This one right here is just one main tree, but look what's happening down here. See these? They're starting to grow up from the base. So if I could prune these if I want this thing to stay just one single stem going straight up. But it's growing these. If I don't prune these at all, it'll turn into those bushy types over there. So this little, I don't know how old these things can get. I should look that up, but who knows how old, like the one back there that's third succession already, you don't really know how old that thing is. It could be hundreds of years old because it's really the same tree, because when the main stem dies, it grows suckers off of that, which feed off of the same root system. It's got the same, it didn't come from a seed, so I don't know if you'd call it a clone, but it's got the same genetics as the original because it grew right out of the roots, and it just keeps going unless it gets so diseased that everything dies. Just wanted to share that. I love my woods, and I'm trying to learn everything I can about it, and trying to improve I want to make it, improve it for me so that I have a more enjoyable experience down here, which means getting rid of a lot of the brush so I have access. I want to improve it for my livestock, which means more grass, and I want to keep it nice, keep good areas of habitat for the animals. So a lot of people think you just let nature go and the wildlife will thrive, but actually a well-managed forest system can support more wildlife than potentially support more wildlife than a natural unmanaged forest. Because an unmanaged forest, I have huge swaths of just alder brush that don't provide a whole lot of food for anything. Alder is good for fixing nitrogen in the soil, but that's then so that second succession plants can take over. You know, the alder brush is a quick colonizer, but the thing with alder brush is it's really good at shading out everything else so nothing else can grow under its canopy. It takes years and years and years for trees to poke through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in certain areas of alder brush where I see the potential for a lot of grass. I'm going to cut down big areas, get more grass growing, give the trees shade. And a forest without open areas, without meadows, without grass to eat, well, you got to have open areas. It's not just grass, it's all kind of forbs and other things. A forest without those open areas is a forest with very little food for bigger animals such as deer and even your rabbits and stuff. You know, rabbits need grass. You look at where do the rabbits like to go and eat? They like to come out into my yard or my field where it's cut short and eat. So you can actually improve the experience for the wildlife in your forest with a little bit of management. And I'm still learning. Y'all have a blessed day.